So as you can see, the title is pretty long, and therefore it will be a very long walk from the first word to the last word, and I don't know how far I can go today. So it's not possible to cover such a big topic in one talk. So I will see how far I can go, and depending on audience's interest and their willingness to continue, maybe I will hold second talk or third talk in the series. Okay. So definitely I will start with Vedic metaphysics, but how much into inner peace and global harmony we can reach, let us see. Okay. So first, introduction. So let us analyze the keywords in the title first. So physics and metaphysics. We are talking about metaphysics here. So according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, physics is a science that deals with matter and energy and their interactions. Okay, which all of you know and all of you have studied because you are from science background. And metaphysics, it's a division of philosophy that is concerned with the fundamental nature of reality and being. So it's a philosophical subject, as you can see. So it questions about the nature of our existence. What is the meaning of existence? What is the meaning of being? What is the meaning of perception, cognition, etc. Now, since I have talked about Vedic metaphysics, so let's see what do I mean by Vedic. Many of you, I'm sure, have studied a little bit about Vedic literature and Vedic philosophy in the history textbook. So we can recall something from them. So it's more than 7,000 years old. Initially it was in oral form from one generation to the next generation. Then it was written in Sanskrit language around 3000 BC. And many parts of Vedic literature have surprising details of modern scientific facts. And what I claim is that the Vedic philosophy is actually beyond so-called religion. So I do not call it Vedic religion or Hindu religion, I call it Vedic philosophy. So if you look at the time scale, this will be more or less clear, because the oldest religion in the world is Judaism. That dates back to roughly 3000 years ago. And then came Christianity, roughly 2000 years ago, 2015 exactly. And Islam, roughly 1500 years ago. And if we talk about Hinduism,
what is Buddhism?
These are some prominent examples. I mean, I have not included all. I mean, if you talk about Buddhism, then there is Jainism, then there is Zoroastrianism, then there is Baha'i. I mean, it can be a long list. So, without paying due respect to all religions, I have just listed 4 as an example. So they are also relatively newer compared to Judaism and Christianity. So Hinduism, I have put a question mark because according to me it's not a religion, first of all. The word Hindu does not occur anywhere in any Vedic literature or any Vedic text. Some of you might know that those who used to live on the other side of the Indus River was called Hindu by the people on the other side. And formally in writings, we find the word Hindu from 18th century literature and onwards. So before that, this word does not exist. So it applies more to a specific region and say the culture and practices of people of that particular region, specifically Indus Valley. So that's it. And of course, the Hinduism, so-called Hinduism practices and beliefs borrow many ideas from Vedic philosophy, but so does Judaism, Christianity, Islam as well, knowingly or unknowingly. So that is why I call the Vedic philosophy to be beyond so-called religion.
So you have written surprising details of modern scientific.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate?
Yes, I can give some examples. So that's just exactly the next topic, Vedas and science. As I said, there are many examples. I will list only a few. So for example, in Rig Veda, which dates back to roughly 5000 BC, we have verses talking about metalwares conducting electricity. And we study in our textbook that electricity was discovered by Benjamin Franklin when he was trying to fly a kite, and so like that. Okay. In Yajurveda, we have laws of gravitation and description of solar system, whereas in our textbook we study that we have this Copernicus, Kepler, and then Newton, these kind of facts.
So you
And all.
mentioned solar system, but so they mentioned that Earth revolves around Sun like that.
Yes, of course. And also, the Earth is round. That fact we study in our book, that Magellan took a ship and moved around the Earth and came back to the same point on the ocean. But the word Bhugolam appears in Vedic literature from a much longer time than Magellan started his journey. So Bhugolam means the round Earth. So it's not Bhujutushkonam, or the square Earth or something like that. Okay, the atomic structure, we all study that it starts from Dalton and then Rutherford and then it progresses. But actually, it is due to Kanad in his Vaisheshik Sutra and dates back to 500 BC. Okay. Also, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a Vedantic text, dates back roughly 3228 BC. Canto 3, chapter 31 talks about week by week development of the human embryo. And surprisingly, these facts were not known even to modern human beings until the technology of ultrasonography was discovered. So that's roughly, say, 30 years or 40 years, not more than that. So before that, exact specific details of week by week development, that okay, when the heart starts beating, when the arm develops, when the other organism develops, that detail is described in this text verse by verse. Okay, and that surprisingly matches very closely to our scientific observation. So that gives us hint that probably they had some advanced technology and they knew many things which we are discovering right now or which we will discover in future. So actually that I have listed many more, and of course this list does not end here. So we have Ganit Shastra, mathematics, Ayurveda, medicine and surgery, Gandharva Veda, which is about music, Vastu Shastra, which is an ancient form of civil engineering. We have Artha Shastra, political science and economics, and Nyaya Shastra, which is the source of modern logic. Okay. So when we study all this and when we find a close match of many facts that are written in the Vedic literature and our scientific discoveries, then that gives us more belief in the other facts which have not yet been verified. So that increases our faith or belief in the parts which probably will be discovered later. So that's natural, I mean, in any field. Of course, there may be contradictions and some parts may be contradicted in future, but so far, to my knowledge, there is nothing which has been significantly contradicted by modern scientific discovery. So if you know anything, you can just
So you said
point.
these are not analogies or like the...
No. So for example, so I have not studied all of them, but for example, this text I have studied verse by verse, and I can tell you, or I can show you that it has specific details, week after week, which is really surprising. Okay, so having talked about physics, metaphysics and Vedic science, now I come to the core of my topic, Vedic metaphysics. So as I said, metaphysics means the fundamental nature of reality and being or existence. So it roughly talks about 4 levels of existence. So it all starts with the fundamental question, who am I? Okay. So if you look yourself in the mirror, so you can ask that am I this body or am I this hair, hand, coat, nose, whatever. But it's easy to point to these things, but it's difficult to point at your real self. we say that, okay, this is my hand, right? Or this is my book, my chair, my status, my relationship, my brain, my mind. So then who is that me? So Vedic metaphysics tries to answer that question. So if we talk about my so and so, so that means these things are not me. Say my genome code, if I say, okay. So that means genome code is not me. So anyway, let us see. So the first level is the body that we see. So body, of course, consists of many organisms, cells, tissues, but at a gross level, it has 5 sense organs: the sense of sight, the eye; the sense of hearing, the ear; the sense of smell, nose; the sense of taste, tongue; and the sense of touch. Okay. So through these, actually, we perceive the world, we take inputs from the world, and then we process internally. So these are the peripherals of the body, so to say. The second level of this 4-level system is called mind. Okay, and mind is characterized by the fact that it's a repository of thoughts and feelings. So I don't have to explain. I mean, everybody of you have experienced, or every moment all of us experience thousands of thoughts bombarding our mind, and then feelings, emotions, right? Sorrow, happiness, pain, these things. So these constitute the mental plane. The third level is called intelligence. So the difference between mind and intelligence is mind just throws thoughts and feelings to you. The intelligence works as a filter, and that actually decides that which thought to act upon or which feeling to respond to. Okay. So intelligence, you can imagine, as a filter of the mind, and it is based on logic and rationality and the power of discrimination between, say, what is good for me, what is bad for me, at an individual level. Okay. And the fourth level that it talks about is consciousness. That's the very cause of life in a living being. So that differentiates between life and matter. And also the consciousness is the source of self-identity, being aware of one's own existence. You identify yourself throughout your life to be the same person, whether you are in a 5-year-old body or you are in a 60-year-old body. So that self-identity is due to consciousness. Okay, so the next... Sure.
So you are basically from the body you are going to the sensor and mind and intelligence. But what's about the other metabolism, this digestion, respiration, all the circulation of blood? That's also depends on the existence, right?
Yes, that also depends on the existence.
Yeah.
So the thing is that those are part of the body, but if the consciousness is not present in the body, then those things will not occur.
Or it's other. Because even the brain death,
Yes.
all the consciousness or the intelligence or the mind, it just stopped to working. But
Yeah.
still the body exists and there is a
But
there is a probability
but-
that it may come back again.
How long?
No, whatever it is, it may come back again.
During some
Well,
surgery.
then yeah, okay. At that point, it becomes models and speculation. I mean, nobody knows the actual
during
truth.
some surgery, suppose anesthesia, so your consciousness is gone, you can't feel the pain, but your body is working.
Okay, I
still
understand.
exists.
I understand what you are saying.
it
So,
still exists.
by consciousness, I do not mean whether you are awake or you are sleeping or unconscious. I don't mean that. Here, consciousness, as I said, it's the very cause of life. So, when a patient is in coma, I would still say that the patient is conscious. Okay, according to the Vedic view of consciousness. I will come back to it in much more detail. What I mean by this consciousness. Okay. Okay. So.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So when you define consciousness in terms of life, then who and how does life get defined by? What is life? Because
So-
you are saying consciousness is something which is the cause of life in a living body.
Right.
Then what is the definition of life?
Well, as per biology textbook, life is defined by, I think, 5 or 6 characteristics.
No,
Right.
of course, I mean
Yeah.
biology is...
So
Alright.
that is life
Okay.
for me. Yeah. So bacterium has life, trees have life, and all animals and human beings have life. Right? So, like for example, there is movement, respond to
there is-
stimuli, reproduction.
Growth.
But there is no
Growth,
definition
growth.
of life as such in this literature. They did not start by an...
No.
Okay.
It says, okay, consciousness is the cause of life. Okay. So it assumes that we empirically or by observation we understand what is life and what is not. A good question. Okay. So once I have talked about these 4 levels, next I will talk about relationship between the 4 levels or a hierarchy among the 4 levels. So the first thing to consider is the senses. That means the first level that we talked about, that are superior to dull matter. This is very easy to see because matter on its own cannot do anything. We use our senses on the matter to actually create new things or to build structures out of the matter. Okay. So you want to say make a building, right? So either you use your sense organs directly, or with your sense organ you make some machine and then that machine works. So what I try to say is that senses can manipulate matter. Okay? So that's why they are superior. So I have the choice, for example, to work my senses on this, but this does not have a choice to jump on my sense. So I mean, next, mind is superior to the senses. You can understand this by an analogy. Suppose you are playing football and you have got an wound, okay? It's bleeding or something, you are in tremendous pain. And then after some time you happen to score a goal, or one of your fellow players happen to score a goal. And then for few moments you forget your pain. Right? You are in your joy. So when mind is what I should say, when the mind is properly diverted, it can surpass the sensory inputs.
1 minute. That is also another due to another sense, because you said you are forgetting your pain because you have scored a goal. Scoring a goal and getting the information empirically, that is also another sense.
Yeah, but the scoring.
I am stimulated by that sense.
Yeah, and that's maybe something due to hormone. Basically due to hormone, you are excited and you forgot the other thing.
Okay, so fine. The thing is that, yes, I mean, there are some people who believe that this whole gamut of mind and mental activities can be explained by, say, chemicals or by hormones.
Yes.
But again, as I said, it's a matter of belief in which model you are doing. At least psychologists who do psychological counseling, they don't believe completely in that. Okay, had it been so, then for every mental disease, only medicine or surgery or any kind of hormone therapy would have been the only choice. When you are doing behavioral therapy, interacting with the person, okay, trying to influence the mind,
Yes.
you are assuming that mind is a separate entity than your
No, or
hormones and
maybe
other
we
things.
don't know what the exactly hormonal work for that kind of stimulating person to get.
Yeah, that is always possible. So the problem is, okay, so it goes back to the fundamental question: do we know the reality
Yes.
for anything, for any subject? Ultimately, what do? We perceive things, we observe things in the world. It may be astronomy, it may be outer space activity, it may be our weather or whatever is happening around us, our relationship. We perceive things and then we try to build models out of it. And we choose one model over another if it predicts better, if it fits better, if it explains better.
I think there is another point.
Yes.
There is a statement by Karl Popper
Mm-hmm.
that what is science, and
Yeah.
what you are defining is
Yes.
circles around the question, what is science?
Yes.
Karl Popper has defined that science is something which is falsifiable, or I can say that which is verifiable.
Right.
I can talk about a model, but I have to verify that with empirical evidences and stuff like that.
Right.
Suppose you are talking about physics a certain moments ago. Say the ether hypothesis.
Yes.
Now ether is, you can believe that there is ether there, but this is operationally not a correct statement, because
Right.
there are no attribution with ether which can be falsifiable or which can be verified. So scientifically ether hypothesis is not true. Scientifically.
Okay.
Now you can believe that,
Yeah.
but that's not scientific justification of ether hypothesis.
So, do you believe
So,
that
but
photons
the-
exist
but
or
the-
electrons
Yes,
exist?
there are experimental evidences on that.
Well, experimentally, what you have found, you have called it as photon,
No.
right?
We have verified a model,
Yeah.
and that model fits with the previous experiments, and that model explains or predicts the experiments that will be done in future.
But that does not prove that.
No. But
Yes, that's maybe not necessarily true, but
It does not make
in
it true.
future something may come up to invalidate those
Exactly.
truths.
Yes, it's a sequence
But-
of partial truths.
Exactly.
So if such a thing, the ether hypothesis, this was disproved by the special theory of relativity.
Right.
The special theory of relativity is such a theory cannot be proven or disproven.
Exactly.
As long as it holds, as long as it can
what is
explain real
cannot
life
be
things,
proven?
we can accept
What
that.
cannot
that
be
truth.
excuse me? What cannot be proven? Special theory of relativity or ether hypothesis?
No, the special theory of relativity also breaks down in many
No,
conditions.
that's breaking down is not that theory is wrong. That is the limitation of that theory.
Yes, that is the
not
limitation.
wrong. Ether, special theory relativity is verified within its own domain. Outside its domain, it goes to general theory of relativity. Fine.
Similarly,
But
so
no.
one day
Ether hypothesis.
So
is
that's what I'm
something
saying. So one
that
day,
is
if you
not
can
verified
explain
at
all the mental effects by hormones and everything,
Yes.
so that will become the prominent model.
Yeah.
This model will be thrown away. But that has not happened so far, and the existence of mind separate from the body stands as one of the alternative models. That's what. Yes, definitely.
Like to add one thing, as you were saying that in case of like when mind is taking over the senses and all, whatever you're trying to say that about the hormonal things and mind has the power to control it. But I would like to add one thing, that in any case, like in any mental disorder or anything like that, we need medicines at first to alter the hormonal level, and
Definitely.
then you need the therapy and other form of counseling which would rather
support.
alter your way of thinking.
Of course.
But to control the hormonal level, you need medicine at first.
It's about fast and slow response. I mean, so if you do only counseling, probably you will have the same effect, but it might take 50 years.
No, for a chronic schizophrenic who is suffering from schizophrenia for around like 15 years,
Yeah.
you cannot do anything by providing any form of such behavioral therapy without any medicine.
Yeah, but schizophrenia, again, I mean, is it a mental
Yes, of course,
disease,
it's
or
a
it's
psychiatric disorder.
a neurological
No, it's a
disorder?
psychiatric disorder. It's a psychiatric disorder.
But
mental disease is separated from any kind of neurological disorder.
yes, amongst neuropsychiatrists, there are divisions: the neurotic disorders and psychotic disorders. So,
Yes, it's a psychotic disorder.
okay, so when you say it's a psychotic disorder, it's not a neurotic disorder. That means you are assuming something
Yes,
which
it's
is
a
not part of
psychotic
neuron.
disorder because it lacks the sense of insight. Okay, in neurotic disorder you have the sense of insight.
So that means it, in a sense, supports the existence of mind as a separate entity.
No, it occurs due to the imbalance in the level of dopamine in our brain.
Then if you inject dopamine, this would be cured
Yes, of
completely.
course. In case of schizophrenia, you need medicine.
You need medicine, but does it cure it? I know that it is not curable.
No, definitely it is not curable.
Yeah.
But to some extent, in case of chronic schizophrenia, it is not curable.
Why not? If you know it is only due to dopamine, then
But
it should be easily
acute
manageable.
schizophrenia, it is curable. It is curable. Yes.
Sir,
Okay, I mean, we can
Yes,
continue
I think we can-
the discussion. Yeah, we can move and we can continue. So this is an endless debate. It can go on and on. So we can continue after the talk. Okay. So all I am stating here is not my own theory. It's what the Vedic model proclaims, and I'm giving some analogies to this model to understand this model. Okay. Now it's up to the individual to either believe in the model or not believe in the model, or accept the model or reject the model. That's up to you, and you can find justification to either believe in the model or not believe in the model.
No, so you say it's falsifiable. This model.
This model is falsifiable, yes, of course, like any other model,
So your
definitely.
statement can be justified in a manner that if there is no mind, there is no sense. So that's why mind is superior to.
Their mind is collection of sense.
So again, I would say it's a view. For example, so whether emotional imbalance causes hormonal imbalance, or whether hormonal imbalance causes emotional imbalance, which one is cause and which one is effect? Okay, I have a schizophrenic patient in my family. I am dealing with her for last 25 years. So I have interacted with many neurological surgeons and psychiatric doctors, but none of them have been able to tell me decisively that which one is the cause and which one is the effect. That's my direct experience.
I think that is simultaneous on both of them.
But then you assume the existence of both. Okay. So again, as I said, that intelligence is the rational part of the existence. So like, for example, you have a bitter liquid medicine, your mind doesn't want to test it, but it's your intelligence or rational power that tells you that, okay, if I don't take the medicine, I will not be cured, so I have to take it. So it acts as a filter on the mental emotions. Then I say consciousness is superior to intelligence. As I said, consciousness is the source of life. It's not about awake or asleep. I'm talking of consciousness in that point of view. So one example is that a patient is under coma, so does not act on the sensory inputs, probably does not have any feelings or emotions, and does not decide anything, takes any rational decision. So the senses and the mind and the intelligence are not functioning to their full potential, but the consciousness is still present. So in that sense, it is superior to intelligence. Okay, so it can exist without the other
present
things.
means he's still living.
Alive, still alive. Okay, so trees also have consciousness, but they have a limited intelligence, but not developed intelligence like human beings. Any question? Okay. So this is one interesting fact that I wanted to hint at. So according to US Bureau of Chemistry and Soils, so on average, an adult, all the materials, say all the molecules, minerals, and the chemicals that the body is composed of, from the brain to the tip of the toe, that costs $4.5. But again, I mean, there can be argument both ways that, okay, this does not, one could say this does not say anything because we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the technology, otherwise we could have created life out of it. And the other group might say, okay, it's not possible.
We don't know, I think 95% of our brain matter is there. So
That's an approximate estimate.
So how do we evaluate that? I mean,
I right now I don't remember. I have seen it long back.
maybe not the
Maybe I will forward you the article. You can check.
It's America, it came from share market.
Yeah, it's market value on 2010. According to 2010. Okay, so the next that I want to talk is source of consciousness. So one question could be that, is consciousness due to brain? So this is a schematic diagram of different parts of brain. We have one part for motivation, another part for planning, some other part for logical decision, emotion, vision, language, movement, etc. Okay? But does all of it explain the origin of consciousness? The way we are defining consciousness, that it is the source of life, it is the source of one's own identity or one's free will. So if we look at that, then so far it has not been linked to any part of the brain. So let's review some modern scientific theories of consciousness. So there are many theories, but I have put 3 prominent theories here. So according to J.C. Eccles, who is a Nobel laureate in physiology and medicine, so he talks about consciousness as psychon theory. Okay, so psychons are nothing but he calls them